Very good. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We just started broadcasting just now. It's going to take a few moments, I suppose, for people to realize that we are now live, coming to you from the heart of Hollywood, literally the heart of Hollywood, a few blocks away from all the post-production houses where they do digital grading and sound effects, and the heart of Hollywood, defined as an industry town. That's what they say, guys. It's an industry town here in Hollywood, and we're here 2 blocks away from the Cinerama Dome, the classic geodesic dome, one of the most famous landmarks here in Hollywood, over at Sunset and Vine, and post-production houses up and down the streets, just a few blocks away. At Sunset Boulevard, on my immediate left, 1 block up the road, one of the single most famous production studios. It's a sound recording studio, forgive me. I should literally say. It's called Sunset Sound, and many a famous rock and roll album has been recorded there over the past 75 years. Dylan, from Bob Dylan to Duran Duran. Even the Doors have recorded there, and the Stones, and lots of great classic rock and rollers and musicians have recorded at Sunset Sound. And within arm's reach, right down the road, the Musicians Institute, and even further down the road, and more germane to our broadcast tonight, you'd find the Cinematographers Guild. That's right. We're very sad to say that today is a day of sadness, and perhaps more so a day of remembrance, if we can pull ourselves together and take stock to remember the highly talented, wonderful, Oscar-winning cinematographer Andrew Lesney, who had quite suddenly passed away last night, March 29th, on his time zone, March 29th, 2015. Unfortunately, a very sad day for Ringer fans, for fans of great filmmaking and great cinematographers. We have to say goodbye to Andrew Lesney, and I'm very sad to say that he is dead at 59 from an unexpected heart attack. I very much remember him. Everybody who has met Andrew Lesney has a story, and I remember him with great warmth because he was so gentle and so funny, and very relaxed, considering the high-pressure business that he's in as a cinematographer on major motion pictures. I do have my own remembrance. We're here designing a brief, perhaps a more abbreviated version of our Torn Tuesday live webcast. Thank you. Hello to everybody. I'm going to pull up the chat room so that we can see all of our friends are here with us. Here's the chat room. It's good to see you, Smaug the Dragon. And hello, Dwalin Dude, and Idril, Tolkien-esque. And wow, look, Sarah Swift. Yes, it's good to see everybody here. We're here in the heart of Hollywood, where, to a large degree, the city itself is built around the technicians and the production people who keep the engine running in this business called movie making, or entertainment, rather. Because, it's no longer about television or film. It's now about new media delivery. But it's all about visual storytelling. And in this world of Hollywood, right down the block from each other, there's a directors guild. There's a cinematographers guild, which is across the street from a music label, a record company, and that's the town you live in. You walk around every few blocks. There's a place to keep people busy who are professionals in this job, and I've met a lot of these professionals in Los Angeles over my past few years here in LA. I've met some fantastic people who work in this industry, and some not so nice people. It is a day like this where I remember one of the best, one of the nicest professionals who I've met in this business. And he's a great photographer. And as we said on our announcement on the main page of the OneRing.net, as we said in that very nice tribute, I believe with the words on the page that we published today that Andrew Lesney's work will be immortalized on film forever. And you can see how he has introduced light and shadow into all these beautiful sets. It's one thing to have a talented crew in Weta build you a beautiful set. It's another thing entirely to photograph it well, and to make it look amazing and magical and inviting to people who are not quite sure where they're going to go inside this bit of visual storytelling. You are almost compelled by the beauty of Andrew Lesney's photography. There's a way to photograph things and make them look ugly. There's a way to photograph things and make them look really, really extraordinary. New Zealand lends itself to that naturally as an environment, and so it's incredibly wise, perhaps one of the wisest things, that this particular group of filmmakers were all New Zealanders, and Australians as well. Our friend Andrew was actually an Australian. And bye-bye, Tolkien girl. Sorry. Good night. Hugs to you. Have a great night. It's hello, Eravandi, and everyone who's here in the chat room, all of our regulars. Thank you for our fantastic audience joining us tonight. It's a sad show, but we'll try to put some passion into it, because Andrew Lesney, he had a passion for what he did as a cinematographer. It shows, I believe, in so many of his films, even the not good films. He's worked on films that were real stinkers, not just brilliant Oscar-winning films like The Fellowship of the Ring, where I first met him the night where he handed me his Oscar and came into our little The One Ring event to hang out with the fans and to show his gratitude, to have a drink with the fans. He was that kind of guy, just so cool and so very, very friendly, very, very friendly, and easygoing. And I remember him that night that we met. But Mr. Lesney also worked on a horrible film called The Last Airbender, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, which was, as you know, a disastrous adaptation of the beloved animated series, which has had its home on Nickelodeon for years, and has an offshoot series, The Legend of Korra, which recently concluded to eye-opening effect. The Last Airbender, should have been called Avatar, The Last Airbender, but the motion picture itself got into a name dispute with director James Cameron, who had insisted on having Avatar for the name of his film, because it was a script that he wrote dozens and dozens of years ago, before he did The Abyss, evidently. So The Last Airbender comes along. Everyone's looking forward to it, because I'm a big fan of the animation, and I watched this travesty of a movie, and I realized, gosh, what's going on? This is an awful, awful mess. And yet, it looks very Lord of the Rings-ish, I thought to myself, the way this is photographed. And then, oh, pop, look, I look at there's his name in the credits. I just surprised me, because I didn't know going in. And it was the only good thing that I can recommend about that film. Otherwise, I don't recommend seeing it at all. Yes, a pint of ale. Well, I have a pint of filtered water. We raise our glasses to toast. To toast the man who actually shed light, literally, shed light on Middle-earth in the first live-action adaptations, photographed with stunning beauty. You know, I've got some special treats to show you guys from the extended editions of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, wherein you can actually hear Andrew Lesney talking with great enthusiasm about some of his experience getting some of these shots for the Rings trilogy. And he was so cool. It is sad to say, on a side note, that the brand new Hobbit extended editions have only one commentary track included, only one. And it's, you know, from what I understand, the director and the writer. And we don't get to hear Andrew Lesney's thoughts. So we go back to the original trilogy, and I'm listening to Barry Osborne and Mark Odesky and all the guys talking about their stuff. And every now and then, I hear, where's that Australian accent? I hear it as distinctly as day, because now I can tell the difference between the Australian and the Kiwi accent. And there's Andrew Lesney sharing this amazing gem, this really beautiful, beautiful pearl of wisdom, or a funny anecdote that he's sharing. And so I found a few of them. Oh, and did we mention where Justin is this week? No. Hello, everybody. You will notice that things are a bit different. We're here doing a live show from a different location because we could not find our way across town to get a good connection on the wireless We stayed here in the heart of Hollywood instead of going all the way over to there to Meltdown Comics, because Justin is in absentia. Yes, Mr. Justin, my co-host and my producer, my good friend. He is out of touch and out of time, like a Hall & Oates song. But I'm out of my head when he's not around. Let's say, sorry, I had to do the full lyric. Justin will be back from San Francisco and joining us for our regular broadcast next Tuesday. Don't you worry about him, but he's gone for now. And I'm just filling in, doing a solo hosting gig. Allow me to introduce myself. Hello, everybody. My name is Clifford Broadway. We've been on the air for 10 minutes, and I haven't even done station identification. You are watching Torn Tuesday. Thank you for joining our live webcast that we do at 5 o'clock Pacific Time, 5 o'clock p.m. every Tuesday afternoon. You join us here on theonering.net/live, or watch on our Ustream account under our account named The One Ring Net. And you guys are welcome to join us. Hello, Ellen. Ellen Design. Yes, it's so good to see you. I think it's time for a toast, a proper toast. Mr. Andrew Lesney was a gentleman. He was a gentleman, and I mean that literally. He was a gentle person and a gentle soul, and he was quicker with a pleasant smile than anybody. And he knew his cameras, he knew his colors, he knew how to light a shot. He knew how to. Thank you, Ustreamer U3966. Appreciate. We're having a really good live stream, and right now I'm going to turn the camera around and go over here and look at this high definition Blu-ray, and we're going to take a look at what Andrew Lesney has to say about one of his favorite shots in the Two Towers, and then we'll go and take a look at some really wonderful bits in Fellowship of the Ring, where you can find Andrew Lesney reminiscing about his experience on shooting that film as well. So. We have our glasses. Everybody in the room, everybody around the table, everybody gather around, make sure you have your glass. And so we raise our glasses and say a fond farewell to Andrew Lesney, the Oscar-winning cinematographer who worked on King Kong and The Lovely Bones and all of the Hobbit trilogy and all the Lord of the Rings trilogy and all these really cool, amazing films. Oh gosh, like Babe. He was the cinematographer for Babe. You know, it's such a great movie where a simple, very simplified, idyllic farm can be lit with this frosty light, this nice natural sunlight, this beautiful, fuzzy, frosty sunlight that he dappled all over that farm to make it look so idyllic. I mean, Andrew Lesney photographed the hell out of that movie. And even making a horrible film like The Last Airbender, at least making it watchable because of his cool shadows and his really cool shots. And Mr. Andrew Lesney, to you, sir, we raise our glasses and we toast to you and say, rest in peace. Beyond, there's a far green country when the gray rain curtain of the world is lifted. And the shimmering sunlight across those far distant fields, those fields are yours. And I hope you photograph the hell out of them, man. Cheers to you, sir. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Andrew Lesney, not forgotten. And yes, we are going to talk about the extended editions right now. I'm glad, Ustreamer7212, that you're here with me at the end of all things. Andrew Lesney, really cool guy. He had this to say. I'm going to show it to you right now. He had this to say about the efforts of trying to put together the perfect shot with shadow facts in the distance. Let's press play.
The sequence when shadow facts turns up, I always loved because they released the stallion and it came, and we had several cameras on it, and it came racing across the hills, and it came running up, and it swung around and it stopped right in front of him, and it was all live, it was all one take. I remember I just stood up from the camera and I said, sometimes magic, just happens for real. And I said, I think we just got it. Take one. I said, I don't think you're ever going to get it any better again. It is a beautiful shot. And in fact, all the cameras pulled beautiful shots. When I looked at the footage, I said, well, it's going to be interesting to see what shot he used, because the horse just looks amazing in every setup.
Isn't that cool? There you go. That's where you learn something interesting about a man you'd think would have natural confidence. You would think that Andrew Lesney, with his experience, uh, would have this natural confidence in what he's doing. And it's just so delightful to hear him say, with such honesty, to hear him say that he was so surprised and so pleased at his ability to just get magic, just capture magic with the photography that he got right in his camera just when that happened. That was pre-digital, by the way. That beautiful, beautiful shot. Gonna give me 1 second, guys, and I'm gonna change the disc. You can come with me, since I can carry my tablet around the room. You can come with me, and we'll take a look at this. This is our Two Towers Extended Edition. And we're going to put that back there, and we're going to switch up, because this is really, really cool. This is one of my favorite things in the world. You guys have this, don't you? I'm sure you guys have this. At least those of you folks who have Blu-rays have this. Okay, so we're going to put in Fellowship of the Ring, Part 1. Hopefully it will load properly. And I'm going to forward to the chapter where Andrew Lesney talks about the concepts of changing the colors and the infusions of colors in a certain setting in the Fellowship of the Ring to create an effect. Just an effect of uneasiness in the village of Bree, so that the audience could get the subliminal impact of colors that would make them feel slightly uncomfortable, because it's the first time that the hobbits have been introduced to that particular environment with big people, regular people. And he talks very intelligently about the colors that he put together in that shot. And even better, there's a great shot where where Andrew Lesney talks about photographing Gandalf's arrival with his fireworks cart when he arrives in the Shire for the first time. So we're going to get to that in just a second too. I'm going to pull that up. But yes, hello. I want to say that aside from me having my own personal experience of meeting Andrew Lesney, it was just so sad and unexpected, and my heart definitely feels a lot of pain and grief for his family. Lesney was only 59. I mean, guys, come on, he was only 59. And you don't expect to go ever from, you're suddenly called away, as they say, when the Lord suddenly calls you away, or when another destiny calls you away suddenly. You may have unfinished business in this world, but it's interesting because I felt that he had a lot more to do. I really believe that Andrew Lesney had a hell of a lot more to do. We're going to see his most recent work in a brand new film directed by Russell Crowe. It's called the Water Diviner. I think that's what it is, the Water Diviner. And there you go. We're gonna now we've got this Blu-ray working properly in the background. I'm of the impression that 59 is way too young to go. I mean, look at how old Christopher Lee is now, in his 90s, I think. And is he 89 now, I think? And Christopher Lee is still, putting out heavy metal albums and starring in movies, although he is too weak to physically travel and go to other, go to the extent of certain physical activities that, a younger actor can do. He's still acting in films. Yes, the way the Prancing Pony is lit is one of the best lighting in the entire trilogy. I agree. This just came in on the hotline, and I really do appreciate that. You guys can interact live with us here. I guarantee you have access to our public phone number, our phone hotline for theonering.net, and you can use it at any time during our live webcasts. Our telephone number is area code 530-64-FRODO. That's 530, number 6, number 4, Frodo. Frodo. So I'm going to remind you guys that you can send text messages to 53064 FRODO. You can chat with us live right here on Ustream and also on our live event page at theonering.net/live. Yeah, Christopher the Immortal. Dwalin Dude, I'm glad you said that. Christopher Lee, who seems to be almost never ending. Never ending. He's amazing. I'm going to skip forward a couple of chapters until we arrive here in Hobbiton. And we'll get to the part where Andrew Lesney speaks about... Ah, there it is. I hear his voice.
Just guys with big suits that look bigger than the hobbits. And what it does...
But actually, that's not his voice.
You never really focus on one type
Okay,
of...
hold on just 1 second. Because I'm going to get to the point
a double,
where Andrew says something about Gandalf's arrival in Hobbiton. Okay?
And it's that kind of...
Yeah, that's right, Sarah. At least I said it this week. I should have said it last week.
Different types of effects that
Now, here, let me bring this camera around.
flawless. You're not always looking at it and saying,
I think his audio commentary tracks are kind of like one of the coolest things. Really one of the coolest things. To get into the minds of these filmmakers.
Was figured out too on a wild afternoon with
Okay, Randy, Cook. I've heard Randy.
a bar magnet, but
And I'm also
I think it survives. So
trying to make sure that...
think kindly of us when you watch it.
Ah, there you go.
We took this section out for the movie because
Yep, that's where Bilbo is actually getting tempted by the ring and can't find it, and then he finds it.
and although he loved
And
stuff with Bilbo and
yeah, I guess the sequence with Gandalf arriving on his cart lasts a little bit longer than I thought. I guess it does. Okay, now hold on for me, guys. Hold on. We're going to get to that part right here.
My memory is different. My
Is it?
memory is
Yeah, then it says Barry Osborne and Mark Ordesky talking about the
friends Bilbo and Gandalf meet.
and the inclusion of the prologue.
Favored and pushed for that. Pete decided you needed, if we gave up the
Let's
original
see.
prologue, which is what sort of...
And they did give up the original prologue, and then they put it back. I'm really glad that they kept the prologue in Fellowship of the Ring, because it's one of the best things about it. It really needed that.
Ian
Just
Holmes
establish
talking
everything.
about his life experience and starting out writing the book, which is actually a great idea.
Okay.
And we brought Ian Holmes back and we filmed that sequence of him writing the book that you see here.
That is beautiful. Forgive me, guys. I'm supposed to be talking to you, but I'm looking for the part where
we went back
Andrew
to
Lesney
the
talks
thought
about
that, no, you really needed to
the way that they've
explain
lit these scenes in the Shire.
history of Middle Earth, to know that we were now in the New Age, and by the end of all three movies, we were going to end.
That's really funny. It's really beautiful.
And
Take a look at this.
He wanted to show that history, and he was right to do so. So combining these two prologues was a challenge.
Gandalf entering Bag End, this was actually Big Bag End that was in the studio, and the view outside the doorway was actually put in later from a set of tiles that we shot on
Looks
location,
familiar.
assembled together and tracked in.
This is the very last shot of Battle of the Five Armies, and it connects to this doorway opening right here.
The process was first rehearsed
Is that cool?
several times with both of
So,
them,
hold on a minute.
so that they got
I think I have to go and find the beginning of this chapter.
When Carrie, we didn't have a prologue.
Oh, here we go. And I know it's right here. I was just watching this a few minutes ago. I previewed it to make sure I could find it.
Photographic approach.
Ah, there he goes. That's him talking about the photographic approach, which is exactly where I want to be. Thank you guys for bearing with me.
Go meet with them or warning us.
Now, I'm going to
when a plane
turn the
or a
camera
chopper
around
was
and we'll
gonna
listen to
be
Andrew
coming
Lesney.
I think that's
And this is his commentary track from
real
Fellowship of the Ring,
but
Extended
for the most
Edition.
part, we were able to keep it relatively
Here we go. Listen to this.
intact and away from the public control. We actually got on the screen.
We wanted the audience to feel like it was a really inviting place and it was warm. Everyone basically had a good sense of humor and it was a loving community. So what the actual photographic approach was that I still wanted to sort of keep the greens and the qualities that were in that landscape, but what we tended to do was I really just photographically and with the digital timing that we did later, we really just enhanced the yellows in the landscape so that the greens took on a bit more of a glow. I mean, the art department basically spent 12 months growing the location. It was a location that I say was grown more than built. And the actual building was, I suspect, a small part of it. Was more bulldozing. It was more landscape design than building. The Shire thing was written actually quite early. I mean, even after the visit.
Are we back? We're back now. Sorry about that. We accidentally lost control. Is everyone here? Okay, we are back now, everybody. A slight momentary interruption. A slight momentary interruption in the live stream. Yes, we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. Yes, I know, it took a minute. It's hard to handle all this technology all at the same time. It's fascinating to listen to Andrew say how they added, you know, some more yellows to make the greens look more vivid. Sound, no video. Black screen here too. You guys should refresh because I've got it. I'm back and I see everything. Just, you guys, if you can hear me, if you can see me, raise your hand. Everything is normal. It was normal here. Okay. You might have to refresh your screen, guys. Just saying, you guys might have to refresh your screens. Other people are watching and seeing everything just fine? Okay. Idril, is everything fine for you? Okay, good. All right. I'm sorry, Ellen, about that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew we had a little bit of a hiccup. I accidentally touched the tablet screen while I was trying to move back over here to the couch. So, such an interesting bit of knowledge you get when you fish around these commentaries and just find exactly the cool stuff that you want to watch. Certain scenes, certain chapters, and then zero in on certain people who are, you know, giving their insights. I got a lot of insights listening to the commentaries of Howard Shore, but Howard Shore only appears, you know, once every 15 or 20 minutes within this commentary because there's a dozen other people who are all vying for time to have some of their comments added in to this rather robust commentary track. There's one from the cast members, one from the visual effects and design team, one from the producer, the writer, director, and there's one from this post-production team. So you'll hear Andrew Lesney or Howard Shore. It's like trying to, you know, bob for apples, and you might be lucky if you can get your head under the water and come back with the correct one that you wanted. Because I've gone through lots and lots of these chapters and have found very few of the actual commentary bits that are isolated just to Andrew Lesney's comments. But every time he says something very insightful or very fun, I really appreciate that bit about them releasing the horse, Shadowfax running all the way across the hill like that. It's just so cool. And here's a bit where
Became the new sort of
they start talking about the Hobbit's arrival in Bree.
Screens.
This gate was built in Shelley Bay on a military base.
Here we go.
Actually, there. And I was sort of.
Alright, here's the funny part, where a certain director has his cameo in this shot. I just love this. This is great.
Sort of playing with the perspective a little bit. Pete's cameo on the Bree Street. He didn't tell me he was going
Pete's
to do it,
cameo
so
on the Bree Street. Okay? He says, Peter didn't tell me he was going to do it.
at the back of the group.
Okay. Oh, and he also says this bit about Dominic having...
Doubles. And then we had...
Oh, poor Dominic Monaghan having to sit on his knees in the mud outside the gate.
No, classic tricks.
Here's the fun part. Check this out.
Wraith screens.
This gate was built in Shelley Bay on a military base. Actually, there, a backfield up in the mountains above Shelley Bay, or the hillside. You know, classic tricks that we pulled were when the hobbits arrive at Bree, we had the gatekeeper, and then we had 3 scale doubles, and then we had Merry on his knees at the back of the group in a close-up turning. But he's just on his knees to get him down to that height. What we're saying is that you may film this scene traditionally on a 32mm lens, but what we're using is a 24. So we're sort of playing with the perspective a little bit. Pete's cameo on the Bree Street, he didn't tell me he was going to do it, so he ducked off set for a while, and we were getting the scenario set up. We're walking up the street, and the camera's sort of veering from one side of the street to another as carts and people are going past, and then it's sort of heading towards this guy on the veranda who sort of like turns at the last minute and goes, yeah, you know, like this. And I just went, I sort of went, what the hell, like this, and then, you know, the camera keeps sort of heading towards him. And this was fairly early up in the shoot, so I thought to myself, oh my god, is everyone getting a cameo? And I made sure we did enough takes to make sure he gave enough performances that he could choose from.
Next shot's a good example of just planning out. Just really good.
Oh, I'm gonna miss that laugh. I'm definitely going to miss that laugh. That was the laughter that has been suddenly silenced. The unexpected death of Andrew Lesney, the great cinematographer who's worked on so many amazing movies. And that was him telling the story as only Andrew could. That's him telling the story of how Peter Jackson surprised him by doing a cameo in the Fellowship of the Ring. And I'm sorry to say that Andrew Lesney is gone now from the world, and my heart goes out to his surviving family and his extended family, as Elijah Wood and a lot of other cast members had an outpouring, a great outpouring of grief and support online and on Twitter today. Elijah Wood and Graham McTavish and other actors posted their thoughts and their sympathies online today. And the online community also became very, very aware of Peter Jackson's feelings, who took to his Facebook page to write a very, very sweet and heartfelt eulogy for his friend. And it was very emotional that Peter shared that. It was very nice. It was really very nice. But I'm going to find it for you. I'm going to open up this page right here and see if and here it is. And see if I can read it to you. And I'll share you Peter's thoughts that he just posted today. This is it. For Andrew Lesney. And he put up a lot of really great photos too. Oh, gosh, it's really sad. 11 hours ago, Mr. Jackson wrote, "Being an only child, I grew up wondering what it would be like to have a brother. It wasn't until today, in trying to deal with the terrible news of Andrew's passing, that I came to realize how much he had become that person for me, someone I could intrinsically love and trust, which I now know means someone who's up for all the good and the bad. Andrew was an irreplaceable part of my family, and I'm in total disbelief that I'll never again hear his infectious laugh, nor benefit from his quiet wisdom, or enjoy his generous praise. Andrew created unforgettable, beautiful images on screen, and he did this time and again because he only ever served what he believed in. He was his own artist, separate from me, but always working generously to make what we were trying to create together better. On set, we developed an ability to work together using a minimum of words, a rare meeting of the minds. I will always remember turning up countless times at 5 in the morning, all those quiet moments I had with him, when I could step on the set, know he was there, unfazed, ready, listening, interested, more importantly, ready to catch me if I faltered. He always had my back. The more anxious I became, the more calm he would be. A solid rock in the unpredictable world we both chose to work in. After 17 years and 8 movies together, the loss of Andrew is very hard to bear. My heart goes out to Jack and Sam, of whom he was enormously proud, and to Marcy, who gave him so much happiness. Dearest Andrew, you never sought nor wanted praise. You never needed to hear how good you were. You only ever cared about doing great work and respecting the work of others. But on behalf of all those who are lucky enough to collaborate with you, love you, and in turn respect your mastery of story, of light and cinema magic, you are one of the great cinematographers of our time. Rest in peace, my friend. Ero Hanui. Pete. And these great photos that they had together. That was really, really nice. That was a beautiful bit that Peter wrote. That was very nice. So, Peter Jackson has publicly responded. Many other cast and crew from both the first Rings trilogy and the current Hobbit trilogy have voiced their concerns and their grief online, and the fan community has as well. And we had a really interesting hashtag that was started up by Justin. Even though Justin is not with us on today's show, he's still working hard behind the scenes, running a lot of things on our social media. And on Twitter, he inspired a lot of the fans to share their memories of an Andrew Lesney moment. A moment that was photographed so beautifully that you just had to see it. You had to freeze frame it and share it. And I'm going to go right here to our onering.net Twitter account, and using this hashtag, where is it? It's right here. Lesney Tribute. There it is. So if you have an image or freeze frame from anywhere out of the 6 Middle-earth movies, or maybe something else, like the wonderful Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or Babe, or any of those other movies that Andrew Lesney was the cinematographer for, if there's something that you think is a stunning moment, a really great, finely photographed moment that you think belongs in our little visual memory book, we're doing it now. We have a hashtag on Twitter, so join us. I want you guys to join us, guys and gals and everybody. Find an image like this one that we have right here. Right here. No music, no dialogue, just cinematic painting. Did your heart ever stop, even just for a moment? Even for a brief moment. Hashtag Lesney Tribute. This was tweeted by theonering.net earlier today. So you guys use hashtag Lesney Tribute, and you yourselves can help us build a little visual memorial for our departed friend, because technically he had one of the most important parts to play. He really did. Besides Howard Shore, Andrew Lesney, he did exactly what they have said. Others have said this, but he is the one who actually first cast light on this photographic version of Middle-earth. And it's really fantastic. His work is so fantastic it will live on very well. And it's important to note in the Silmarillion, in Tolkien's very beginning chapter of the mythological structure of Middle-earth, the light of the 2 trees of Valinor was the most important. It was important to Valinor and to the world itself, because the world bathed in the light of the 2 trees, and some of the light was captured famously by Fëanor and held within the Silmarils, within the gems that were known as the Silmarils. Those had the light of the 2 trees inside them, and they burned so brightly. So, the concept of shedding light shedding light on something. Well, I know that my good friend Ellen, who runs a lighting design company, I know she has some of her own professional and artistic insights about what it means to shed light on something and how to properly light something. But that was his job. It was just so fascinating. Um, Andrew Lesney he had another bit that I'm going to show you here on Fellowship of the Ring. We're going to go back to an earlier chapter where he talked about how he appreciated watching the actors work together before he had to come in and do his technical job. And it's really a nice scene. A nice scene between Bilbo and Gandalf. I'm going to cut right to it because I know exactly where it is. Here you go. It's right here. It's very cool.
In post-production to get hands touching hands and
After-
hats exchanging and everything else.
Right after that famous shot where Gandalf arrives in Bag End, and they do this great trick photography where Bilbo takes the hat and the wizard staff from Gandalf and rushes back over in front of the camera and puts them off to the side. And right there at this part, there's another part of Andrew Lesney. Yes, very good, you streamer 7211. Definitely send us more pictures commemorating Andrew Lesney and use Lesney Tribute, that hashtag. But check this out. This should be one of our closing thoughts from Andrew Lesney that I managed to capture from these extended editions. Take a look at what he has to say about how he appreciated watching the actors from his own perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, in the words of our friend, now deceased cinematographer Andrew Lesney.
The month we did with Ian in Bag End was fantastic. It was, we'd do block throughs, and it was Peter and the two actors and Dick Caro and Victoria Sullivan, the script supervisor, and myself. And, they'd run through a scene, and it was not only incredibly entertaining, you felt like you're watching two of the finest actors in the world sitting in the front row of some small theatre. And you're getting the benefit of the live performance. And they work it out with Pete, and then they've decided what they want to do, and I'm sitting in there obviously because I'm supposed to be looking at things and seeing whether certain angles might work, or offer up sort of coverage suggestions, and whether we just want to bring it down this way a bit because the lighting will be sort of better for this part or that part or whatever. And sometimes I was just enjoying it so much that the actual prospect, when everyone turned in my direction, like, okay, what do you think? It was sort of like, it was almost a bit disappointing that we now had to break the scene apart and technically achieve it, because it had actually been just such a joy to sit there and watch it.
That's fun. That's true. He had the technical job of telling the actors, "Oh, your work is beautiful, actors, but now we've got to break it down, shot for shot, and actually physically realize the film, and we have to photograph it." And that means doing endless takes that is blocked and reblocked, and shoot it again, and then get coverage of your camera from another place, and then redo it, and then by that time you've lost that organic, mostly you have the risk of losing that organic, natural quality. But it seemed to be a much easier affair for them to work on the set back then, because they didn't use a slave control, motion control camera on the rings. They'd actually put Ian Holm and Ian McKellen together. They put them together, and then they shot them separately on large set and small sets to make the scale look different. But in The Hobbit, they had to make Ian McKellen Sir Ian. They had to make the poor fellow locked down in a green room on the far side that had a slave camera that kept its motions with all the other 13 dwarves in the other duplicate set, and that really made things difficult for him. But anyway, I really do appreciate Andrew Lesney's observation at that particular point, where he was thinking, oh, this is kind of like like a chamber piece, like a little private small theater, watching two great Ians doing great acting, and they're working together and being great. And now it's like, oh, now it's my disappointing job where I have to pull the whole thing apart and shoot it shot for shot. It's so cool. He was just so cool. And I'm glad that we do still have his legacy and his thoughts on cinematography still permanently on these commentary tracks. I'm glad that we do have them. Yes, I did see the short film. I did see that he was in Sean Astin's short film. Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Doc 2 of Andrew Help Him. He was an actor. It extended to. Hello, Sarah Swift. I'm just rereading your chat. Did you see Sean Doc 2 of Andrew Help Him? Yes, I think I did see that too. Ellen Design saying one of the greatest qualities of Andrew's work was the ability to capture so many kinds of light. Moonlight, sunlight coming through windows in Bag End, torchlight, et al. Very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. Yeah. Okay, Dwalin Dude, thank you for joining our show. We do appreciate that. I'm going to spend my evening, and you have a good night, Dwalin Dude. Thank you for joining us this week on Torn Tuesday. Hopefully we'll get to see you very next week, where we'll have a full complement and a full show with Justin and friends and everyone here with us. Here on the Torn Hotline, we're still getting fascinating text messages from the live group. Hello, everybody out there. The way that Prancing Pony is lit is one of the best lighting in the entire trilogy. Oh, yes, there is that. We did have that, too. I think I might go forward and close the show on that. We might actually close the show on that. Because he talks about, trying to change some of the colors of the light there. Boy, there's a lot of chapters before we get out of the Shire and into... no. We've gone too far forward now, this time.
And now...
There we go.
Common tongue became the new sort of core.
There we go. That's a whole lot of brie.
Free falling as a normal person would be walking around, so we didn't use them as often.
I'm going to show this to you.
As we could have once we found the tall people that could work.
We had lots of fun with the loop group,
and
that's where we'll get maybe 20 actors in a studio and just get them to give us...
This says here, Cliff, can you explain a little bit about how the cinematographer works with the director? Does the director just describe the mood, and the cinematographer specifically chooses the color and the brightness? Yes, actually. Perhaps that's a very good suggestion. And I think that I can, maybe, explore some... there's Andrew's right there. There's Andrew's comments right there, talking about Bree. And let me close this and hit pause. Okay. Boy, it sure is a short clip before I get right back there. Okay, now here we go. In honor of Andrew Lesney and our tribute to Andrew Lesney and his great career, we should remind ourselves what kind of a challenge it is working on a motion picture. The director of photography is the one person who most famously works closest together with a director. The director and the DP, which is what that means, the director of photography, the actual director and the DP are like zoom. They're always together. They're always talking because they always have to make decisions about where to put the equipment to make it work. So when there's story development meetings or changes in the script, those story meetings always include, well, you'd think he'd be on the set setting up his lights or his cameras, but the director of photography also has to be in those story meetings so that he knows what kind of a mood or what kind of atmospherics are needed for the story, the way that it's going to be told, and they can start working with the pre-visualization department and how shots are supposed to look and how they might get coverage. And yes, it is the director's job to be a good communicator and tell the cinematographer, the DP, what he or she really, really needs. What you need from the scene is what the director has to have a great grasp on. And the DP will create the shot with the available materials that are there in the set, and he'll figure out where to position lights and how you can make things filtered and how you can color grade and digitally change the way something's been photographed at the end. Yes, it's quite an involved job, and it's like getting into a very close working relationship between the director and the director of photography. That's pretty much how it works. And also here, someone's saying my favorite scene is the circling pan, the camera panning of Edoras and Meduseld just shining in the light, and wow, just breathtaking. Yep, that is a beautiful shot. And another one from the hotline saying, posted this on the chat, but you didn't see, and I just wanted to make this point. Okay, no, I probably didn't see it in the live chat, but I'm glad you guys are here with me in the live chat. Here on the hotline, our chatter saying, I'm constantly amazed at the Tolkien fandom's dedication and appreciation to everyone involved in the making of the films. I don't think another fandom exists that shows such a genuine outpouring. Yes, a genuine outpouring of support for something like this. That's true. Yeah, I think that's very, very true. When it comes to Harry Potter fandom, they changed cinematographers in every other film. So if one of them died, I don't think there'd be a unified feeling among the Potter community, and the fans might not react the same way that we are. We are definitely feeling a connection to the creative talent and who worked so hard on those beautiful, beautiful movies. Additional thoughts from Ellen Design, saying that the DP also helps decide which angles, the placement of the camera will be used, where the cameras will start, how it will move during the shot, if necessary. And yes, Cliff is right. The DP arguably works most closely with the director. Yes, Ellen, indeed it's true. Yeah, the director of photography also have to have, he or she, your director of photography must have a dedicated crew so they can create unique controls for the cameras and figure out where the cameras are supposed to move through a shot and how they're supposed to capture an image. You'll lay down track for a tracking shot, and then you'll roll the camera along on a rig. There's other kinds of cranes. There's a lot of other camera rigging where you could place cameras in different places, and you can even run them through a shot. There's a Steadicam where someone can actually wear an outfit and actually move through doorways and move through a scene. You can photograph it that way too. Yeah, it's a fascinating job being a director of photography, and it is amazing. I'm looking at these scenes in Brie, and I'm really starting to understand what Andrew Lesney was talking about. So, we're at the 1 hour mark, and I wish that I had a longer show. I wish I had a longer program where we could talk about so many other exciting things, but we must be brief tonight. Only an hour for our program this evening, as we memorialize the great Andrew Lesney, Oscar winner Andrew Lesney. It was Peter Jackson that took Andrew all the way to the gold, took him right to the gold prize for fellowship, and he deserved it for some great. And even when the challenge came to do high frame rate, and Peter said, okay, we're doing digital now, and we're not going to be shooting in 35mm like we were before, 13 years ago. Now it's time for us to use these epic, red epic cameras. We're going to do all this digital stuff, high frame rate, 48 frames per second. And there he was, Andrew Lesney, rising to the task to learn all these new cameras and new challenges to, technically, get a film that would work and look amazing with this amazing and eye-opening technology, the high frame rate, which, is ultra high resolution. I suppose it's more than 4K, but watching high, ultra high res 4K, it really is blinding. It's like stunning. It's amazing stuff. But here's to Andrew Lesney, And yes, also, I want to say another message of support, prayer of support and strength of will sent across the miles to the survivors in Nepal who've been struck with such a merciless natural disaster, um, a terrible wave of death and destruction through a really caught by surprise, an earthquake that no one would have ever dreamed was coming. So yes, thank you, Sarah Swift, for saying a prayer of peace, and for the family and the survivors in the Nepal. And we have an international community all over the world. We're going to close our show tonight with our memory of the technical marvel and the cinematographic, if that's a real word, the photographic brilliance of Andrew Lesney. And we're going to send our prayers to the family, the surviving family of Andrew Lesney, and also to the survivors in Nepal. And a great deal of interest. If you go back to your original Lord of the Rings extended editions, guys, check out what Andrew Lesney has to say on the post-production commentary tracks. Here we go. Take a look. One more shot. Oh, there's the nasty Bill Ferny. Remember in the books, in the original books, Bill Ferny was an evil guy in Bree that Sam didn't like? Yeah, so that's supposed to be him, according to lore from old Fellowship of the Ring. So here we say goodnight to Andrew Lesney, and here's his closing thoughts on how to properly light a scene of discomfort. And he explains technically why it works the way it does.
Well, Bree was pretty much the first time the hobbits really impact on the outside world. It's a more aggressive landscape, and now they're dealing with, there's a lot of humans in this environment. We wanted to introduce feelings of menace, so probably people's initial feelings about like the insides of pubs, you know, in England on a cold night. We still had those sort of qualities because it's lit by fire and candles and things. But what we did is we shifted some of the colours into a slightly uneasy part of the spectrum. What Peter calls urine gold, but I make it more a little yellow-green. Because green can be a very just slightly queasy colour. So you can move like a traditional orange into a slightly green direction. And what happens is it now starts to make it not such a solid colour. It starts to make it a colour that's like between two colours. And so what it tends to do in a subliminal sense, it tends to give people a certain feeling of unease. That was what we were trying to do, was just create the subtext for how the hobbits felt in this environment.
This is really the second chance.
Isn't that fascinating? Fascinating. I didn't know. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of professional people, lighting designers, especially Ellen, who understands that colors can have subliminal effects on people. And this is so brilliant. I mean, Andrew Lesney was freaking brilliant, and he's gone too soon. So, we close our show. We say farewell on Torn Tuesday. Thank you for joining us on our live stream. And we raise our glasses, and we say a toast to you, Andrew Lesney. Cheers, sir. Fare thee well on your new journey beyond. And tissues to all. Yes, thank you, Sarah Swift. And thank you, Iravandi and Idru. And Ellen, thank you so kindly. Dwalan Dude, Focoena, everybody here who's with us, Iravandi, and the many fans of the OneRing.net. K-Doki, you guys are great, and we appreciate you being here with us another week on Torn Tuesday. We raise our big glass and say thank you, Andrew. Cheers to you. Good night, sweet prince, to you, sir. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Torn Tuesday. I will see you throughout the week. Go back and read my Ralph Bakshi interview if you haven't read it yet. It's still there on the front page of the OneRing.net. And thank you, everyone. Be sure to check out our Facebook, where we're going to have more comments from fans about the passing of Andrew Lesney. And use, on your Twitter account, use hashtag Lesney Tribute. And see if you can share some of those images from his films, any of his films, that you want to remember as a great, great shot from a great film. All right, thanks, everybody. Cheers to all of you. Behave yourselves, okay? Or don't. And be safe. Please be safe and enjoy your week. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.